guys in the back there, if somebody comes in, they can scoot their way in. Good morning.
Hello.
It's Wednesday, the 7th of July, and we're here for Gentle. So let yourself get comfortable. We do need a strap, so if you haven't gotten one here at the studio, and if you do at home, if anybody's watching, get a strap to have handy for later in class. And just sit comfortably, whether you're on the floor or in your chair. Let yourself get really easy feeling in your hips. Grab blankets if you need to sit on. And just close your eyes and lengthen up through the top of your head now. Feeling that sense of the breath easily coming in and going out through your nose. Letting your shoulders release down away from your ears. Comfortable to let your breaths deepen in towards those three parts. You can inhale into your belly, into your ribs, and then all the way up into your chest. And on your next exhale, release your arms on out beside you here now. Guys, come on in, find a spot. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse our arms and inhale the hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now inhale your arms just a little bit higher and make loose fists with your hands, with your thumbs on top, like a normal fist really. And then let your hands circle in those loose fists. So you just circle your hands in one direction. And then we'll reverse and circle the other way. And then open the hands and spread your fingers really wide now. Really spread your hands out. And now tuck your thumbs in first and gently enclose the thumbs with your fingers. So a different kind of fist. And let your hands circle from there. So it feels a little different. Don't squeeze hard or anything. Just let it feel really easy. Circle through one way. And then reverse and circle the other. And then let yourself release your arms on down beside you here now. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let's twist to our left. Bringing your right hand around, maybe all the way to your left knee, maybe not. And just let that back arm release gently behind you, either fingertips lightly touching the floor or arm down the back of your chair. And then just feel your feet in the floor. Whatever part of your feet are touching, just press gently down into the feet. One more inhale. And on your exhale, come on back around through center. We're going all the way into the other direction. So again, gently pressing into your feet. Letting yourself just release there, the twist in the middle of the back. One more inhale. And on your exhale, use your belly to bring you back around into center. If you're in your chair, you might want to come away from the back a little bit because we're going to exhale, draw our navel towards our spine and do like a seated cat pose, rounding into the back. Let your head come forward. And then when you inhale, send the belly button forward and then just open your chest. Maybe look up a little bit. It depends on you and your neck. Like a cow pose. So as you exhale, drawing the navel towards the spine, rounding into your back. And when you inhale, send the belly forward. Let yourself open up a little bit there. And then one more time, exhaling, drawing your navel towards your spine. See if you can let your head come forward. And when you inhale, send the belly forward and let yourself open through your chest a bit. And now we're going to just lengthen up through the top of the head. Let our arms release out, shake out a bit. We're going to switch the cross of the legs. If you're on the floor cross-legged, stretch your legs out. And when you come back to cross legs, just make sure you come the other leg in front. then from there, let's just move a little bit with the breath, keeping our backs long. So let your exhales bring you forward, and your inhales bring you back up to sitting. Doesn't have to be like but an inch. You don't have to move far. It just depends on you. But really imagine that it is your breath carrying you forward and back up. Good, and the next time that you end up forward, stay there. And it depends on you. You may just have your hands on your thighs. If you're on the floor, you may still have your hands on your thighs as well. Or you might want to go farther. So in your chair, you can separate your feet and release your elbows to above your knees, or go farther down towards the floor with your hands. And if you're on the floor, you can decide if you want to walk your hands out and go farther forward or not. Just be really mindful. Take your time. Let your head hang, let your neck release if possible, as long as it doesn't put too much into your back. Be with your breath. Good, one more breath here. And then we'll slowly bring ourselves all the way on back up, and let your arms again come out beside you. Adjust your legs to where you're comfortable. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. And just close your eyes in your seated mountain for a breath or two. Feel that length upward through the crown of your head. Feel your sitting bones reaching down. And then we'll release and unfold our arms on down beside us. Shake out a little bit. We're going to come around towards our hands and knees. So you know, if you don't want to be on your knees, do not be. Use blanket underneath so that you have a little cushion. Obviously, if you'd rather be up on a chair with your hands on a chair, the seat of a chair, or up on blocks with your hands. That's another way. Another way to move through your spine without being on your knees is to put your hands above your knees and move through your cat-cows like this, so that you have, again, you're not down on your knees, but you can move through the spine that way. So find what works for you. Once you start to ease your way through the cat-cow here, just take your time, let your tailbone initiate. Let it feel like you're just flowing through your back, really, very, very easily with your breath. And remember, there's no right or wrong way to breathe. Whether you exhale when you draw into your cat pose, and inhale when you move through to cow, or even the total opposite is fine. And we're going to finish off the one we're on and come back to a more neutral spine here. And let's step our right foot back to come into our first lunge. You know, your hands can be any height you want. They can be up on a chair, they can be down on blocks. And blocks have 3 heights, so that really depends on you. Take your time, really find that alignment here. Let yourself feel like you're reaching into your inner right heel. And you're not bending that front knee any farther forward than your ankle. Good. And we're going to switch legs from here. So coming to the other side. Bringing that right foot forward, the left foot back, and again, getting yourself aligned there with that front knee. And enjoy opening up the back of your left leg. Now, think about drawing your shoulders down away from your ears, zipping up your low belly. Good. We are going to switch again. Remember, how long of a stance you take, doesn't matter, it's up to you. If you like to lift your front, your left hand or forearm up to that right above your knee there on your thigh, you can. You don't have to. But if it feels good to lift a little bit, come a little more into your legs. And we are going to switch one more time. Again, once you get into that lunge, if it feels good to bring your hand up or your forearm up to your thigh, you can. are going to step forward from here and come into a standing forward bend. So feet are hips distance apart and parallel. Be mindful, you know you are more than welcome to stack blocks up in your chair to keep yourself up so that if you have any issues in your back, you want to keep it long and flat. There are lots of ways to do it. So staying up higher, putting your elbows above your knees is another way with the knees bent to keep your back lengthened. And I know some of you are fine to go ahead and bring your hands down towards your blocks or the floor. So feel your feet in the floor now for a second. Lift your toes up and just imagine really those four corners of the feet reaching down into the floor. The base of your big toe mound, the base of your little toe mound, and your inner and outer heel. And then let your toes softly come on back down to the floor. Feel your breaths coming in and going out through your nose, and let the ribs expand as you breathe in. And then let's let our hands come to our hips, bend our knees, and press into our feet as we rise up to standing. Inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. So coming into your mountain pose, if you need to adjust or look at your feet, do anything you need to get comfortable so that you feel pretty good about how far apart your feet are, and being as parallel as you can with your feet, letting your hands come gently to meet in front of your chest there. And then just be mindful. Let the thumbs kind of just come in towards your breastbone. It doesn't matter how high or low. Just so that your shoulders feel really comfortable. It feels very natural to have your hands meet at your heart like this. And then just find that sense of really aligning your pelvis, which once you drop your tailbone to reach down towards between your heels and the pelvis is aligned, it's just so easy to get yourself stacked up from there. Hips over ankles, shoulders over hips. Weight equal between your feet. Releasing our arms on down and feeling your feet rooted down into the ground now. Let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward into your standing forward bend. On your next inhale, find the nice flat back like you're a tabletop with your back. So that might mean you like to put your hands on your blocks or on your legs or on your chair. And we'll step the right foot back and come into a lunge here. Letting our shoulders release down away from our ears. Good. Inhale. And on your exhale, come into a downward facing dog pose. Now your down dog is your choice. Your hands are on the blocks. You might be back with your feet, with your heels on the ground, but you're still letting yourself shift back so that you reach back through your sitting bone. So if you need to bend your knees in down dog, bend your knees. Same thing if your hands are on the chair seat. Now if your hands are on the floor, you're more like an upside down V. On the next inhale, we'll come out towards a plank, and you don't have to go all the way into a full push-up pose if you don't want to. You can put your knees down and do a half. You can go to your forearms, which gets you out of your hands, and do a forearm plank or half plank there. Engage your belly, find that core strength. Good, and then we'll come on back into down dog. So if you need to adjust your feet as you come from plank to dog and back again, always adjust. Let your elbows softly hug in, and we will bring our right foot forward. So if you're on the ground and you need to put your left knee down to bring that right foot forward too. We're going to step all the way back into our standing forward bend from here. So again, as you release into your standing forward bend where you're comfortable, let go through your face. Let your head, if you can, feel really that weight of your head so that if it can release down, you can imagine it's creating more space in your spine. And feel your sitting bones over your heels. Let the backs of the legs, whether your knees are bent or not, you're still opening up through the backs of the legs here. And now full deep breaths. Feeling again the ribs expanding as you inhale. And we'll let our hands come on back up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. From here, let's inhale our right arm straight up. Keep your left arm down for a second. And then bend both your elbows and bring your hands like to your back wherever you can, right? You can go just to the back of your head with your right hand. You can go lower. You can bring your hands closer together if you want to. But keep your gaze forward. Keep open through the chest here. And then we're going to release. We're just going to switch and let the left arm rise up and the right arm come down. And then again, bend both your elbows. Now, you know, it might be right here for you where you're touching high and not too low down. Maybe that you want to go lower down with that right hand, or you may decide you want the hands to come closer together. But again, just be mindful of your shoulders, but also think about really keeping your gaze forward, so that you're not rounding like this into your upper back, right? Instead, it's like you're leading a little bit with your heart. And one more breath. And then we'll release both arms down. Let's clasp our hands behind us here now. Take a nice inhale. And as we exhale, bend our knees and come forward. Now you can have that flat back. You can stay up high. You can go parallel to the floor if you want to do that. Bend your knees as much as you need. And some of you might want to fold all the way over, right? If you do, if you like to, you can. And if your arms release a little bit or a lot off your back, you can let your arms come off your back. And if they don't want to do that because your shoulders are going absolutely not, then don't do it. Good. One more breath. And then we'll release our arms on down and let yourself find a flat back here. Inhale into that long back. And we're going to step our left foot back and come into lunge here. Draw your shoulders down, coming into the second sun salutation now. A little bit more engagement, gently pressing your feet away from each other. And we're going to come into a downward facing dog pose. So again, depends on where your hands are. Remember, if you're on the block's highest height, they can get very tippy, so be careful. Let yourself lengthen back equally through your sitting bones. You're finding the length of your spine here. On your next inhale, come on out towards that plank. And again, it's up to you whether you want to put your knees down or come to your forearms, right? Just be mindful where you are today and let yourself take your time. You like a little push-up, you can bend your elbows. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And this time we'll bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And you can put your right knee down if you're on the floor and you need to. Whatever you need to do to get back to that lunge. And then we'll step all the way forward into standing forward bend again. And go right to your breaths. Full deep breaths. If any of you want to hold your elbows, you can. If it feels good to just let your hands release onto your elbows. If that's not too much for your back, you can try. Let your face go. Feel really soft through your face. And think about letting go through your jaw, all around your mouth. And then we'll let our hands come back to our hips, press under our feet, rise up, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's sit back into a little chair. Keep your hands at your heart and just feel your thighs here. Really feel the hips and the thighs. Press down into your feet a little bit. And if you want to go deeper, you might want to shift your weight a little more to your heels. Then maybe you can bend a little deeper. So one more breath here. And then press into your feet. Rise up. Inhale your hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings and fold forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. And we are going to step into a downward facing dog pose from here. So again, you choose the height you want your hands to be. Feel the elbows hugging inward, whether you have your hands on the chair or the blocks or the floor. And let your next inhale carry you towards that plank again. Now, you don't have to do a back bend, but you can. You can come down and do a little cobra or sphinx on the ground. You can come through for an up dog. It's totally unnecessary to do any kind of a back bend. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. Walk a little bit in your dog. Bend a knee at a time. And let your head turn a little bit too. See if you can just release your neck a bit. And then come on back to your full dog, and on the next inhale, we'll again come out towards that plank. And again, it is totally optional. You can stay in plank, you can move through for a little back bend or not. Good. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. And this time, we're going to let our right foot come on forward to find lunge. However you need to do that. And then we'll step back into our standing forward bend again. Feet hips distance apart and pretty parallel. Let your knees bend a little bit. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. And then again, you release to where you're comfortable. Let your hands, your arms do whatever you need. Use support if you need. One more nice, easy breath here. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to press into our feet and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. So finding your mountain pose, adjust however you need. Get your feet just how you need. Let yourself have your hands softly to meet there in front of your chest. And then just imagine, whether your eyes are opened or closed, that you're looking straight out towards the horizon. Enjoy feeling a little more energy flowing through the body, having really warmed up every part of the body through our sun salutations here. And then we'll release our arms on down beside us and shake out whatever you need to. And we're going to come into some warriors. So if you're using your chair, you might want to turn it around. Have your blocks handy. We're going to step into warrior one first. So as you come towards the front of your mat, you can always use your chair. We'll step our right foot back, and we're going to come into that front facing warrior where our shoulders stay square towards the front of the mat. So actually let yourself look down, and your left knee is bent, no farther forward than your ankle. You should be able to see your toes for sure. And then reach your hands down towards the corners of your mat, right? Palms are going to turn to face each other. And you can just look there for a second so that you feel very balanced. And then bring your gaze forward. Let your hands come right to be in front of your chest, in front of your heart, into your prayer hands. And then clasp your hands and start to send your palms out away from your chest. Now you can keep your elbows bent. This depends on your wrists, of course. But see if you can start to rise the hands up. Now, you may just come halfway up. You don't have to go any further than that. Shoulders will dictate what you can do. You can get your hands all the way above your head as long as it's okay for your shoulders. But feel your feet in the floor. And you're pressing gently into the heels of your hands. Feel equal through the sides of your body, coming into your warrior one here. Now, if you want to look up a little bit, you can. You can even bring your arms a little back by your ears or not. You can keep the arms forward. One more breath. And then release your arms on down beside you. We're going to straighten this front knee out, and we're going to come on forward for pyramid pose. Now, if you have your chair there, you might just want to keep your hands up on the back of your chair so that you're up higher. Or you can, of course, walk your way down. You can come all the way down to blocks underneath your hands if you choose to. And then adjust your legs, right? So once you get your hands grounded, both legs are straight. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. That back heel is turned in slightly. So you've got a bit of a turnout in that back leg. But just make sure you have your hands down equally, right? So you want to have either the chair or the blocks underneath your hands. You're opening up through the backs of your legs here in your pyramid pose. Good. Think about engaging your belly, zipping up your low belly, drawing your hip pointer bones towards each other. Now, if you like to bow over that leg, you're more than welcome to. You can fold over it or not. That's up to you. And then come on back up, more parallel. We're going to find lunge from here. We're going to take our time to release that right heel now directly behind our foot. Usually it's a little bit longer stance than in pyramid when you come to a regular lunge. So find your lunge where the left knee is bent now and the right leg is straight. You okay? You're
okay.
good.
I just tipped over.
Yeah, I've done that many times.
And then not my specialty.
See if you can add a twist. Left hand to the left hip. And roll on up with that shoulder. You can have your hand on your back. You don't have to. You can stretch it up if it feels better in your shoulder. So take your time there, finding that twist with the lunge there. And then we'll come on back down with that left hand. And we're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. Come into your standing forward bend. But actually bend your knees a lot more than you usually do, right? So if you can really bend your knees, let yourself, and you can keep your back long by still having your knees bent, right? That's up to you. Or you can let yourself fold over the thighs, right? So one more breath. And then let your hands come onto your hips and press into your feet equally as you rise up to standing. We'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And our exhale will bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Take a breath here, enjoy finding your mountain pose. And then we'll release and come on down. And we're just going to come to the other side from that. So as you step to the front of your mat, again, now you know what's coming. When you step the left foot back for your warrior one, remember if it helps you, because your shoulders are square, if it helps you to widen your stance a little bit, right, you can feel like you're on narrow railroad tracks. So this left foot is not directly behind the right one for some of us. And then as you bring your hands and reach towards the corners of your mat, turn your palms to face each other. Just feel that sense of being really equal between your feet, your shoulders. Good. And then just bend your elbows. Let your gaze come forward. Here you are now in your warrior one. Quite simple, but really core enhancing pose, right? You got to be using your core just to be in your warrior one. And from there, we'll clasp our hands and send our palms outward. And now this is all shoulder related, right? You may decide you want to stay right, hands can come up 3 inches or 4 inches or up and up and up to above your head, pressing up into the heels of the hands, feeling the feet equal in the floor. So it is a lift of the belly. You're still reaching your tailbone back a little bit, right? Not tucking it under you. And if you like to look up, you can either look up with your arms forward or you can bring your arms back more by your ears. One more breath. Feel that openness in the front of your left hip. And then bring your gaze forward if it's not. Release your arms on down beside you. We're going to straighten that front leg out. Now remember, to come into that pyramid pose, if you have a chair there, you can really lengthen out and reach for the chair. It can help you come forward. Or you can bring your hands down to your blocks, of course, and you can adjust from there once your hands are down to the blocks. So you have that back foot fully in the floor. And the thighs are lifting up towards the hips. So you're really using all those muscles around your knees. You're engaging upward with your thighs, which really uses all those muscles around the knees. Feel as equal as you can between the sides of your body. And then, of course, if you like to bow over the front leg, you can. That is totally up to you. You can stay up. If it's too much to fold over, sometimes it feels like a relief to fold over. Sometimes it feels like too much. So be where you can. Let it feel good. Good. Now come on back up, more parallel to the floor if you were folded. We're going to bend the front knee. Now reach the left heel directly behind our foot to find that lunge. Remember, we're going to add a little twist to it. So once you're established, bring your right hand to your right hip and roll that shoulder up a little bit. letting yourself come into that twist. If you want to stretch your right arm up, you're more than welcome to. See if you can imagine that you feel like your head is a part of your spine. So instead of dropping your head, and you can do that and see what it feels like, or kind of lifting it funny, puts tension in your neck, right, to do that. We're going to go ahead and bring that right hand down to the block or the chair, wherever it was, and step on forward to come into standing forward bend. Now just for a second, you're in your standing forward bend. Turn your toes out. Let your heels touch. So your toes are out and your heels are touched. If you were in advanced class, it would be first position, right? So let your knees bend just a tiny little bit there. Just a little bit. And they come out over the center of the feet, right? And then see if you can come a little bit straighter again. And then see again if you can bend your knees a little bit out over the center of your feet. And then come on back to straighter legs. And now lift your heels up and then turn them back behind you so that now you're parallel with your feet again, but maybe a little bit wider than you usually are. That's fine. And then bend your knees again. Now just for fun, lift your heels up and you're up on the balls of your feet. And try not to let your heels go outside or inside, right? So you're right there centered on your feet. Good, and then put your heels back down. Your knees are still bent. And now come into a little bit straighter legs if you can. And we're going to bring our hands to our hips and rise straight on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, we're going to lower our left arm down and come over into a side stretch, letting yourself breathe into that right side. And then we'll inhale that left arm up and lower the right arm down and come to the other side. And just do that again. Inhale the right arm up, left arm comes down as you come over into a side stretch. And then again, inhale the left arm up, right arm down, and come over into your side stretch. And then we'll come on back up, both arms up overhead, and then bring your hands right down together in front of your chest. Coming into mountain pose. And then we'll release our arms again, shake out just a little bit. And we're going to come into warrior two this time, so you can keep your chair that way, but do have your block still handy. We'll step our right foot back and line our heels up this time. So think about a line coming forward from that right heel to your left heel. When you bend your left knee, it comes right out over the center of the foot. Sometimes lifting your left heel up really tells you a lot, because when you lift your left heel up, it's nearly impossible for that knee to come inward. It kind of lines itself up if you lift your heel up and then put your heel on back down. And we'll rise our arms on up and out, really coming on into our warrior two, arms reaching out through our fingertips. Enjoying feeling as wide as you can, really. See if you can feel just as wide as you can as you reach out through your fingertips. And turn your left palm up now, and inhale, reach that left hand up. Right hand can just give you a little support back there on your right leg. And on your exhale, come into your side angle, where you either put your left hand or your forearm to your thigh, and you can rise that right arm up if you choose. You don't have to. Into line with the side of the body, or keeping the hand down on the hip is fine. So be where you can. Feel the strength in your legs. We're going to come on back into warrior two from there. Good. And now bring your hands down. Turn your feet more parallel. Adjust how wide you want your stance. And from there, bring your arms straight on out from your shoulders. There's a little 5-pointed star for a breath. And then give yourself a hug with your left arm on top of your right. Just give a hug here. Let yourself release your elbows down. And if you want to head towards a half eagle or an eagle wrap, you can. You can send the backs of the hands towards each other. You can slide the back of your right hand to the outside of your left elbow. Or you can come into your full wrap if you want. Those right fingers can reach for the left palm. If you like that final little twist, you can bring your thumbs around to the midline. All of that is just steps along the way. Depends on where your shoulders want to stop. Be where you can. So one more breath. And then unfold your arms on down beside you. We're going to come forward. You may need to grab your blocks. Bend your knees. Grab a block or two if you want as you come down with your hands to the blocks or the floor. And then bend one knee at a time once you get there. So you can adjust and open up a little more into your inner thigh. Good, and then come on back into center and bend both your knees just a little bit. Imagine your inner thighs kind of melting their way behind you. And then you decide from here if you would like to come into the pose where you stack blocks up and you support yourself so that you can keep a longer back. You still might be able to have forearms on blocks and let your head hang without stressing out your back. I mean, some of you I know want to go lower. If you feel better to bring the blocks out of the way, let your hands come down towards the floor or back towards between your feet. As you get comfortable now in how you found your pose, then now just be with your breath. Let the pose do everything. All you need to do is follow your breath in and out. Good. One more full deep breath here. And you know, as you begin to rise on up, if you need to let your feet come together before you get up higher, then do it. Take your time, and if you're dizzy, really be mindful. And we'll walk our feet together and move around however you need to. Move through your feet and your ankles. And we're going to come to the other side. Left foot is going to step back. So your right foot is about parallel to the long edge of your mat in Warrior Two. And your left foot is about parallel to the back edge. And then again, if you think of lifting that right heel up, and you don't have to keep it up a long time or anything. If you lift it up, look what your knee does, right? Your knee, if it's coming inward a little bit, doesn't want to do that if you lift your heel up. It really wants to line up. So let yourself then settle on in. Finding your alignment there, reach your arms on out, straight out from your shoulders. Bring your gaze out over the top of that right hand. Feel your feet in the floor equally. And again, try to feel as wide as you can as you reach out through your fingertips, but soften your shoulders down. Warrior Two. Nice. We're going to turn our right palm up, let our left hand come down to our left leg, and just inhale into that side of the body here. And on your next exhale, come into your side angle. So again, you don't have to go low. You can just barely rest your hand on your thigh. You can go to your forearm. Adding your left arm up into line is totally optional, right? So you can keep your left hand down on your hip. You can let the arm be more straight up from your shoulder if that feels better for your shoulder and you want to do as much as you can with your shoulder. So be where you can. One more breath. And then we're going to come back to Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other. Nice. We're going to bring our hands down, turn our feet more parallel. Again, kind of adjust how wide you are, where you're comfortable to do this little wrap of your arms, right? So arms straight out. There's your 5-pointed star. Let your hands come just a little bit higher than your shoulders. Your palms face down. Now, as you're in 5-pointed star, try not to tuck your tailbone up under you, or do that for a second. Look what happens to your whole back, to everything, right? It is not a good feeling. So then from there, send your tailbone back a little bit. So feel that sense of now all the natural curves are there in your spine. And we're going to bring our right arm on top of our left and give ourselves a hug here. Now you are more than welcome to head towards half eagle or eagle wrap, but you don't need to. You can stay hugging. You can slide the back of your left hand to the outside of your right elbow, or you can do that full left fingers to the right palm, even twisting the thumbs to the midline if you like that. Let yourself breathe into between the shoulder blades on your back. Nice. And then we're going to unwind our arms and we're going come forward from here. So grabbing those blocks again if you need them. Take your time, bring yourself into a nice long back here, whether you use blocks or your hands on the floor. And then walk your hands over towards the right. You can go all the way towards your foot if you want to, or you can stay out in front of your foot just so you can come a little bit to the side. You can use blocks. You don't have to be on the floor. And then come on back through center and go to the left. Again, how far you go, totally up to you. Be mindful, let it feel good. And then we'll come on back into center again. And you can wiggle around however you need. If you need to bend a little bit, bend and straighten, take your time. Set yourself up. If you know you need some support. Remember, another way to support your back is to bend your knees and put your elbows right above your knees, and then that'll keep your back long. So take your time. Come into watching your breath again and again. Just imagine there really is nothing you need to do. Once you get into the pose and you don't feel like you're stressed anywhere, you can just watch your breath and the pose will do everything for you. It'll do all the work. You just breathe. Good. One more full deep breath. And really take your time, of course, when you're ready to rise up. You do what you need to do, whether it's walking your feet together first or not. And then once you get up, if you can walk your feet together, move through your feet, your ankles a little bit. Nice. So we're going to leave our mats where they are just because it's easier. But we are going to walk to a wall or a bookcase, anything that you can just put your finger on, put your hand on, your left hand on. So just for a second, just to work on a little bit more hip strength and balance, step onto your left leg and cross your right ankle, either in front of your left ankle down low or up above your knee. If you go above your knee, bend that left knee a little bit and sit back like you're coming into a chair pose, right? So you're in a figure 4 here, and man, that's a lot of work. If you can let yourself just stay here for a breath. If you think, wow, I want to try to balance, you can try to bring your hand off the wall, bring your hand to your heart. Hands together in front of your chest. One more breath. And then come on back up, and we're turning around. And we're going to be standing on our right foot this time. So again, you can just cross your ankle, and you can just stand up right there, crossing the ankle in front of the ankle, and balance a little bit there. Or you can cross up higher, bend that right knee, shift your hips back like you're about to sit back in a chair. And then you can decide if you want to think about balancing a little bit there. That's totally optional, you know that. Good. And now come on back up. Let's turn around one more time. And let's see about crossing our right thigh over our left and bending our left knee a little bit. So right here, all right, this is an eagle pose already. So as you bring your thigh over your thigh and you squeeze your thighs towards each other, okay? So you think about squeezing thighs and then think about lifting your pelvic floor, all right? Which is kind of like Kegels, right? So really good work for us women in here to think about really engaging upward with the pelvic floor a little bit, squeezing your thighs together. You can bring your hands to your heart if you want. Go for it, man. And then we're going to come on up, and we're going to turn around. And we're going to go the other side. So just gently crossing your thigh over your thigh. And even if you can't bend that right knee at all, squeeze your thighs a little bit towards each other and feel that pelvic lift, right? If you can sit back a little bit and then do the same thing, thighs squeeze in, you can lift the pelvic floor, you can balance a little bit. Good. And then when you're ready, come on up out of that. Good. And walk around a little bit. Well, you'll need to walk because we're going to go back to our mats. And we're going to come down onto our bellies on the floor. So let yourself come on down onto your belly and release your forehead on down towards your hands. Make a little pillow unless that doesn't feel good on your neck. And then just breathe. Bend the knees and let the feet circle around a little bit. Do your own little foot dance back there, whatever you want to do. Whatever feels good. Good. And then bring your legs on back down long. Let's come onto our forearms and get our elbows under our shoulders, if we can, for a Sphinx pose. Turning your palms down towards the ground, spreading your hands nice and wide. Now, if this is too much, right, if when you engage your belly, you still feel like it's too much in your low back, just come down, slide your elbows down more. You won't be up as high, but you're still engaging your back here. So, you know, you've got to figure out what works for you, where you're okay to be. See if you can bring your gaze between your hands. And then just enjoy finding your Sphinx pose there. And now, bend your knees, lift your hips up. And you're into a half forearm plank before you even realize what you're doing, right? You're on the flesh above your knees. You don't have your hands together like we usually do, but it's really kind of fun to do them this way too. Imagine you're pulling yourself towards the front of the mat a little bit. Feel how that makes your belly and your low back work. Flex your feet. One more breath there. And then let yourself release on down. Bring your forehead down to your hands again if you can. And now, just let your right knee slide up along the floor towards your right elbow. You can turn your head to look towards your right elbow too if you want. So that you're letting your hip now you're trying to totally release your hips. Now, if you want, you can rise your head up off your hands. If you want even more, you can actually come onto your forearms like this and be in this half frog like this, right? If that's too much for your back, then don't bother. Just stay down, right? But you want to feel that release in your hip. Let yourself just enjoy. So try not to tighten your buttocks. I know that sounds, it's easier said than done though, isn't it? It kind of is an automatic pilot sort of thing. So you got to focus on it. Good. Now we're going to bring it back down underneath this. Put your head back down and go to the left knee. And again, you can turn your head and kind of look at your left elbow there and breathe into your low back and into your hips a little bit. And of course, that coming up a little higher is totally up to you. You can try just rising your head up and see how it feels. If you feel like, well, I feel even better to be up higher, then you can do it. But be mindful, right? It is a back bend. It is definitely a little bit different whether you're down or up. But breathe into the low back and the hip. And then let your head come down if you were up and slide that leg on back underneath you. Bend both your knees again and let your feet come side to side. If you can do those windshield wiper blades, do them. Let it feel good. Good, and now separate your knees. Let your feet come to touch each other. And you can decide here. You can just let them stay up high. The feet can stay up kind of coming in towards your buttocks. If it feels good to let the feet lower down a little more towards the ground with the soles of the feet coming towards each other, you can do that. If that doesn't feel good, do not force anything. So, I mean, you can keep the feet up with the knees out towards the edges of your mat and be happy there. Or you can let the feet come down more. Whatever your hips suggest. Good. And now bring your feet back up. We're going to bring the knees back in. We're going to stretch our legs long. And we're going to release our arms down alongside us. So now your forehead is coming down to the floor. And let's let our hands float up. Your head is down. Your feet are on the floor, tops of the feet. You're reaching back towards behind you with your fingertips. And then slowly lower your hands back down. And now leave everything down except your legs. Float your legs up. See if you can feel that sense of pointing your toes a little bit like you're reaching towards the wall at your feet. And then come down again. And now let's just do our head. Let your head come on up. All the elements here of locust pose, one at a time. And then we'll come back down with our head. And now let's put everything together. So inhale everything you can up into the air. Let your fingertips and your toes reach back towards the wall behind you. Turn your palms down so you get a little more openness across your chest. One more breath. And then we're going to release down and we're going to shift back towards pose of a child. And now how you come into child's pose, how low you go, totally up to you. If you need to stay with your hips up in the air and your forearms on the ground so that you're up without so much bend in your knees, do it. You know, this is totally optional, the shifting of the hips back towards the heels. Not everybody's body will do it. So, you know, be very mindful of your knees and your hips. See if you can let your arms be soft, however you need your arms to be, right? They can be bent, they can come back along your legs, side your legs if you want to, turning your palms up. Feel the breath coming into your low back. Full deep breath so you actually feel that movement in your low back. You feel the back rise as you inhale. And you feel it's almost like the hips expand. It's almost like you make your hips bigger with your breath. Maybe not what a lot of us want, but that's okay. And then we're going to bring our hands back to help ourselves up to sitting. So as you bring yourself around, take your time. We're going to get our straps once we get here. So stretch your legs on out long and take hold of your strap there. Shake your legs out a little bit. And let's come onto the strap onto the ball of our right foot. And let your left foot come in. Now this is different for everybody. If you know your hips don't like this coming in up high on your leg, like if a tree pose, it doesn't work, or any other pose, right? Don't do it. You can keep your foot low. You can support your knee so that your hip and your knee don't have stress. Because if you want to focus on this right, you really want to focus on the right long leg here now. So the foot is directly in front of you. Your heel is on the floor, and you are allowing yourself to sit up nice and tall. So if you need a blanket too, sit up on a blanket. Press into that strap with the ball of your foot. That will bring your heel down, and the heel will come back towards you a little bit. It is kind of like a Barbie foot, if you think about it, right? So, and then as you exhale, just bend your elbows a little bit and draw yourself forward. A tiny little bit, nice long back. And now, on your next inhale, come right back up where you were, all right? So it's the sensation. When you exhale and come forward, you come from your low back. And then go ahead and inhale your way back up. Let's do it one more time that we exhale our way forward. And you may be able to get farther every time. And then you inhale your way back up. Now this next time, go as far as you want forward and see if you can stay. And be with your breath. Keep the length of the spine. Some of you may think, I want to walk my hands closer to my foot. And then bend my elbows again. And come a little bit more forward. But be mindful. You're going to feel this in the back of this right leg. I don't care how much stretch you have in your hamstrings or openness. You're going to feel this. And you don't want to feel like you're pulling harshly. If it feels like too much, you just come up out of it, right? Let your body adjust. Let the stretch happen without you feeling like you're pulling at your hamstring attachment, which is your sitting bone. Right? You do not want to feel a pulling sensation. So just be there with your breath. Let yourself, if you feel like you need to come out of it, do. Press into the strap with the ball of the foot. One more breath. And then we're going to rise back up to the top. Now, you're going to use your strap to open that leg out to the side. So you're opening it to your right. You're going to hold on to the strap with the right hand here, so you hold both ends. Now, this leg is the option here, like what you want to do. If you can fold your heel in towards you, go right ahead. If it feels fine to have no block, that's fine too. But if you have any iffiness, use what you need. And then kind of use your left hand to help you slide your right hand down towards your foot. Coming into side stretch here, left hand on the left hip, and you can stay right here. That is a side stretch. If you want more, you can lift that left arm up. If you want even more, you can bend your right elbow and come down more with this hand, even reaching towards this foot if you want, right? That's an extreme side stretch. You don't have to keep your left sitting bone down. It can float up off the floor. So one more breath here. And then we're going to rise on back up. And go ahead and use your strap to help you move the foot back. Nice to do that. Put the left foot in to replace the right one. And then we're going to bring that right foot in. Now again, this is a different side. So sometimes too, when you're just sitting with the foot either down below the knee or above, you feel fine. You don't need the block. It feels, well, just fine. I can do this. Pressing into the strap. But it's when you come forward that you feel some iffiness. So if that happens, just grab the block and put it under it, right? So take a nice inhale, press into the strap, feel the heel on the floor. There's the Barbie foot. And then when you exhale, come a little bit forward, just a little bend of the elbows. And when you inhale, come back up again. So again, as you exhale, press into that strap, let yourself come forward. You may want to go a little farther, you may not. And then when you inhale, come back up. And then again, exhaling, bringing yourself forward. And on the inhale, we'll come back up. This next time is going to be for staying if we can. So coming on forward. And again, you can adjust to the height of your foot. If you feel iffy, grab the block. Again, take your time. Let yourself use your breath to help you. So feel on your inhales like you're lengthening your spine. And maybe on your exhales, you can just imagine coming a little further forward. The other thing to try not to do is lift the chin up like this. Sometimes it makes you feel like you're getting farther if you do that, but really let the back of the neck release so you have your head in line with your spine. Good. Beautiful. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly come up. Keep your left hand holding the strap now because you're going to open it out to the side. How far you go is up to you. And then again, this foot, this knee, this hip, very important. You do what you need to let it be okay. If you have to, it can be here or here, right? Because you're still going to get a side stretch if you slide your left hand down towards your foot and bring your right hand on up to your right hip. There's a side stretch right there. If you want to add the right arm up, you can. You can bring it closer to your head. If you want to bend the left elbow, you can come down lower. You can reach, again, let the right hip come off the floor if you want to. That's a very, very deep side stretch. So just be mindful. Good, one more breath. And then let yourself come on back up. We're going to bring that foot in front of us. We're going to bring both feet into this strap. Now this is kind of fun. Bend your knees actually. Bring both feet into the strap. We'll do a little boat pose with our strap here now. Now be mindful. If you're going to roll back and bang your head, don't do it, So if you lean back and you lift your feet up like this, you're holding onto your strap, you're like, there's no way. No way. Just don't do it. Put your feet down. Think about drawing your chest forward, kind of hold on outside your knees here. It can still help you engage your core. The strap can. If you're here, it can help even more, right? I mean, some of you may want to straighten up your legs and hold your strap like that. Let yourself look up above your toes. Because a strap can be very, very helpful to keep the back lengthened, right? But it can also help you roll backwards and bang your head into the floor. So you don't want to do that. So let your feet come on down. Good. And then we'll do it one more time. We'll try to lean back, lift the feet up, only for another breath or two. You go where you want. Feel the belly in the back. Oh, nice, you all. And then when you're ready, come on down. Really nice. And then take the strap on away. See, straps are fun. And we are going to come on down onto our backs on the floor from here. So have a block handy in case you need one. We're going to bring the knees on in towards the chest and let our knees roll side to side. Actually, do whatever makes your back feel the best. If you like your knees to circle, if you like your feet to be on the floor for your knees to go side to side, do that. You know, just be really mindful of just releasing. And then, come on back to feet down onto the floor. Let's do a little bridge. It can be a supported bridge. That's why I said if you want to have a block handy. So whether you feel like you want to set your feet up and even bend your elbows to 90 degrees and press into the backs of the arms and float up. Maybe you get up there and you're like, I would just as soon be supported. So you can put a block any height underneath your low back where you're totally supported. You're not hanging off the block. You know, you're right there on that flat sacrum, the base of your spine. And if you just rest there, it's a wonderful release for your low back, for most people, not for everybody. And of course, if you're doing your full bridge, you can move up and down in bridge anytime you want. You can move up off the block too if you want to and come back down to it. Actually, for me, I'm feeling like stretching, being on a block and stretching one leg down long on the floor so my toes face up and I can let the front of my hips release that way. I just feel like that would feel really good. But if that doesn't feel good to you, don't do it. Just take your time, enjoy. You know, if you'd like to do a full back bend, a full upward facing bow pose, they call it in yoga, a back bend, you are more than welcome to bring your hands above your shoulders and press your way up. Good. So if you're not already down, be really mindful as you come down to the floor. And then from there, just cross your right thigh over your left and let your knees come on in towards your chest from there. And flex both your feet. You can, if you want, hold on to either knee. You know, you can let yourself kind of pull the knees in a little bit towards you or not, or just support a little bit. Or you can hold behind your thigh, you know, and pull in that way if that feels good. Keep the feet flexing a little bit. And then come on down. We're going to uncross so that we can switch and put the left thigh over the right. It's like woman cross-legged, right? And then you can draw your knees on in again. And again, where you hold is up to you. You can clasp behind the thighs, flex through the feet. You can get your knee if you want, or bottom knee or top knee. Just doesn't matter. Just let it feel good. Let it release your hips, your back. And now take your time. When you come out of this one, do whatever your body wants to do. You know, if you need to do little twists of knees side to side, if you feel the need to do any other pose or any other movement, by all means, let yourself do that. I mean, you might feel like you want to do some pelvic tilts, or you might need another hip release. You might want to do more like that figure 4, like you did standing up, but on your back. poses can be practiced in so many different ways. On the ground, standing up, sitting down. Take your time. I'm going to start to walk around to get the lights. And then I will start to walk around to bring stuff. If you need to keep doing another pose or movement, by all means do. And remember, you want to be comfortable for our quiet few minutes here. So if you're not comfortable on your back, you can always be on your side. You can use blankets for support. So if you need a blanket, let me know. Start to move around the room, just give me time to get there. Remember, a blanket underneath your head too, so it can often be a really wise decision for your neck, so that you don't feel your chin is jutting up. So I'm moving around. Can I get the poster? Yes, you may. Thank you. You're welcome. So glad to see you here. I'm still coming. Don't give up on me. You're welcome. Just let yourself. So if you need to rearrange your arms or your legs a little bit, do. Feeling your shoulders and your hips soften down. If you need to let your head roll a little side to side, so you let your neck release too. And then just enjoy. Accepting your breaths in and out. And really just allowing the breath to help your body and your brain become a little bit quieter. Because your breath will settle down, it will become quieter. And as you let your body and your brain respond, you find those little quiet places. So give yourself these few minutes. Trust your body will get what it needs. And just allow yourself to completely and fully relax. physical movement now as you breathe in and out. Letting those deeper breaths bring more oxygen in, help you feel a little more energized to start to move. And if your extremities can lead you, your hands, your feet, and up into your arms, your legs when you're ready to move. Stretch, you can bend, take your time. You're more than welcome to roll onto either your right or your left side if you're comfortable to be in a fetal position on your side. You can use your arm as a pillow, especially if you don't have a blanket there. And just give your brain a little more time to adjust. So that when you do feel okay to rise up to sitting, it doesn't feel like quite such a shock, right? You're going to let yourself kind of grow your way back upward once you're seated. And you start to lengthen up, you can feel your sitting bones reaching down, and let the top of your head just float upward towards the ceiling. And you can release your shoulders, come back to your breath. Let yourself enjoy having your head up there above your heart again, feeling energy returning to the physical body. And on your next exhale, allow your hands to gently come to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
Middle of the week.
That was a hard workout for me. My
Glad
hands
you're
all
back.
sweaty.
Glad you're back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.